Thibault and I are in the same room, fam. So sometimes that's how that shit works in the technical world. A lot of shit going on here at the Hashflow offices. So obviously we got to condense a little bit, but we have Magic Eden with us here today. We've got Thibault with us today. We've got Hashflow on the stage. It's going to be an exciting little day. Magic Eden, how we hanging?
Doing well. Our marketplace is about to go live. You guys, this is our first launchpad drop with the marketplace live. Super excited for that.
Absolutely. I can't even imagine what it's been like. How did you think that space earlier when you guys what's the process of getting all those projects in the same room? Can you kind of go into what it's like hosting that kind of that space?
Yeah, I think the space has been great. I was around 300 listeners the whole time. But yeah, dude, kind of crazy coordinating 5 to 10 projects across different time zones, across different channels. So typically we chat with our projects on Discord. Sometimes it's Slack, sometimes it's Telegram, sometimes email, sometimes Twitter. So figuring out all the POCs for each project and getting them all aligned, getting the itinerary, the run of show ready, questions, scheduling a space that works with everyone. It's kind of a hassle, but we do it every week for our Launchpad and Grill, which some alpha is getting rebranded to Launchpad Roundtable, so to be a really open, free-flowing conversation, kind of like the space earlier. So hoping our listener count goes up, audience retention goes up, and people just have more fun. We can bring people up from the audience. So just looking forward to that as well. But yeah, coordinating spaces with more than like 2 or 3 people is usually quite a struggle.
Absolutely insane. And you guys have multiple co-hosts from multiple chains, which are awesome, right? Like the Ethereum and the Polygon. It's a pretty dope. How do you guys kind of find these degens who run these Twitter accounts? Because they're pretty good at their jobs.
Yeah, so for the interim, I've been shit posting on this account. My main page is VOHLII. If you guys don't know me, I'm Liz. But yeah, I've been shit posting a bit on the ETH account. Mainly it's Threador. Threador is a close personal friend who's been working at Magic Eden for about a month or two now. Polygon Twitter is Johnny. He's also a good personal friend. He's been here for about 3 or 4 months, and he's on the Polygon one. And then Nick, who's been here longer than I have, is on our Bitcoin Twitter, and he's pretty degen, pretty witty. So we have him running that one. And then we actually have a new person. You guys may know Faithy. She is a great content creator. She's a shit poster. She does a lot of really cool stuff, and she's going to be running our main Twitter. She just got hired a couple weeks ago, or even not even a week ago, actually, but she'll be running the main Twitter soon. So yeah, definitely great to have a lot of close friends at the company and a lot of people that have already done content and shit posting and are pretty embedded in the community running these accounts versus someone super corporate that doesn't really understand Web3 or doesn't really understand the degen culture.
Yeah, Magic and interns are definitely pretty well known in these parts. You guys are pretty funny. How did you guys come up with this Cardano April Fool's joke? Because you might have gotten some people in the Cardano community a little excited. What was the kind of thought process behind that?
Yeah, we actually have a bunch of usernames, some more alpha, some usernames squatted in case we ever go to this change. So there's a few of them. After we made the Polygon account, we're like, hey, we should do this for a bunch of chains. We squatted the ETH and the Bitcoin ones quite a while ago. We have a few others that we've squatted, like the Cardano one. And I was like, hey, why don't we just meme? Because Cardano is kind of not the meme chain, but everyone always like memes like 88 to the moon, stuff like that as a joke. So I was like, hey, why don't we just do this? Went into like my mobile like iPhone editing app that I haven't used in years. That I used to use for like university classes. Put in the Cardano logo on our header, tweeted it out, changed the PFP, and then just like did it. It took like 20 minutes of my time. We actually didn't have anything planned. We were kind of going through some internal restructuring and just making sure the ETH Twitter and the ETH go to market's all good. So we didn't even have time to plan this. But last minute, I was like, hey, let's do something. It's April Fool's. And funnily enough, this announcement actually got more likes than our ETH announcement. And I think it's creeping up on our Bitcoin one. So maybe Cardano is the move.
Cardano might be the move, and this kind of segues into the first question I have for you, Magic Eden. You have a Solana marketplace, you have a Bitcoin marketplace, and now you have an Ethereum marketplace. Can you kind of like maybe give us some alpha? Like, which chain is Magic Eden leaning toward next? Do you guys have any that are at the top of the list?
Yeah, of course. There's always discussions going on about different chains and where we should go next. I think right now we just kind of sprinted to get Bitcoin up only in a couple weeks, and we're now the #1 marketplace on Bitcoin for ordinals, which is pretty awesome. and now we're going to be focusing on Polygon and of course ETH. So I think for the short term, unless something crazy happens like the Bitcoin one just came about so quickly, and we just needed to get attention and grab a hold of that audience and that market share and that market. I don't foresee us going to any chains in the next few months at least, but there's always chains that we're having discussions with. There's a lot of gaming-centered chains or gaming-centric chains that we talk to a lot. So personally, there's a few that I'd love to see us integrate, but can't really share the names yet, unfortunately.
100%. And the Bitcoin ordinals kind of came out of nowhere. And, in the wild world of Web3 and crypto that moves at lightning speed, you kind of have to stay ahead of the game. When did you guys kind of know that ordinals were not just going to be like a fad and kind of like took Bitcoin NFTs seriously?
Yeah, so funny story. One of our, I think he was actually our first hire here, way before I even worked here. His name's Chartfu. He's a resident Degen officer, similar to your position, Alan. But he actually created a collection with some friends called Bitcoin Bandits, and he was like, "Guys, this is really gonna pop off. Like, this is gonna go places." So we trusted him. The founding team was like, "All right, fuck it, let's do it." We flew out a ton of our engineers, almost all of them, to California, rented an Airbnb for a couple weeks, and they just had a hackathon amongst themselves. There's actually a mini 2 or 3 minute documentary out about it as well. I'll find it at some point and link it up top. But yeah, super cool. And the way we just kind of decided to do it was, hey, there's an opportunity. No one else is doing it. And there really isn't a marketplace that was audited, safe, secure. And all the marketplaces that were available didn't really have any experience with other chains, so no one really knew if they were to be trusted or anything like that. But obviously, we do have a secure marketplace, and we've been working on other chains, 2 full chains, and now ETH. But at the time of Bitcoin, it was just Polygon and Solana. So even with just that background, we definitely thought it was such a great opportunity, and we kind of just took a gamble, and it decided it pretty quickly, but seems to have paid off.
That is, yeah, everybody needs some degens at a company. Magic Eden knows what's up. Flying the hackers out to a hacker house to build a Bitcoin platform, that's pretty dope. I just kind of want to lean into the second question here. You started on Solana and on now on multiple chains. Can you kind of describe like the different kinds of communities that you have experienced? Like, which one is the most vocal? What has it been like to mesh these different kind of maxis and degens? What has the chemistry kind of been like? Can you kind of like go into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of hard for us to do the same thing on each chain. Obviously, we have the bare bones marketplace that we can do on each chain, but there's certain things that chains need. So on ETH, we have dynamic pricing, Dutch auctions, bucket auctions. On Sol, you don't really see that. We do have dynamic, but there's a lot of different stuff that we have on the Sol marketplace and Sol Launchpad that we eventually will integrate to other ones. But priority is getting the community what they need and creators what they need, especially. So we build a lot of custom tech, especially for Sol and ETH and now Polygon and, of course, Bitcoin with inscriptions and stuff like that, which is a whole other can of worms. But just in general, like building tech that caters to the community, to the traders, to the creators that need it and that want it. As far as the Twitter accounts, there's slightly different personas between all of them. Polygon is kind of like the guy that everyone likes. He's just there. He's kind of good vibes. The ETH one is a degen. He's like a young intern. He's kind of a shit poster. The main Magic Eden account is kind of a cross between professional and kind of the cool guy that everyone wants to be, or like the jock, the athlete. And then the Bitcoin account is just kind of like a wallflower. He's just there. He's just chilling, kind of fly on the wall, but everyone seems to like him. And eventually we're gonna keep meshing these and figuring out what works. But taking these brand accounts and making them into personalities and making them fun and shit posting and talking to community members and replying and just having fun in general is kind of key. And I think you guys are doing a really great job of that as well, especially with Alan manning the accounts now, and just making sure they're not just accounts, they're not just brands, they're not just companies, they're personalities, because that's what people relate to.
Appreciate that, Liz. Us degens got to stick together. I do kind of want to ask you as well. You're creating some really interesting content. That you talked about the Hacker House documentary. I saw you guys released a new series with some founders. I think it's called What the FUD or something like that. How do you guys like think about what kind of content you want to push, and what is like the brainstorm and execution strategy to try and get your content in front of other people's eyes when there's so much stuff being posted on Twitter and Discord every single day?
Yeah, it's always a learning curve, especially for us, kind of being a marketplace and trying to stay between those legal bounds and what's cool and what's popping. Like, there's certain emojis we can't use. obviously certain phrases, stuff like that, but for the most part, just trying to be the cool guys, trying to do what's trendy, trying to innovate as well. For our content videos, we did some in Art Basel, we did some at NFTLA, I believe, and then NFT Paris is the What the FUD founders one. So more to come on that. But yeah, the way we want to do stuff is fun and engaging, but still informative. So the video with Frank definitely is very fun and engaging and clownery, and it's great to watch and everyone likes it, but there's still some truth in there. There's still some tips, some tricks, some interesting and engaging stuff, but of course still educational in a sense. And then for Art Basel, we did a lot of content asking normies about NFTs, and that was super fun. We got to onboard some people. We actually came out of there with a few deals of people that were like, hey, we're like a mainstream artist or something like that, and we're really popular in Web 2. Would love to check out NFTs in your launchpad. So just talking to people, getting out there, getting in the doors. People that may not know what NFTs are, they're skeptical. It's super good content. People love to watch that. People always engage with those videos. I know a bunch of people have been doing them on Twitter, but our team has like a pretty big TikTok, YouTube streaming background as well. So myself, streamer, TikTok, YouTube content, all of that. Harrison is Sam. He got second place at Fortnite World Cup. Loco Doco is a major League of Legends streamer and coach, player, all of that. Matt Bimonte, he was a coach and a manager for Sword Gaming. There's just like endless backgrounds of people on our team, and a lot of them come from content creation. So I think that's a place where we really excel, and it's also a niche that isn't really super tapped into. I know people do spaces or podcasts, but having mainstream content about NFTs is where we want to head eventually, because there really is such an opening for that, and having normie friendly, educational, fun content about NFTs is super important.
100%. Yeah, Magic Eden definitely has an all-star lineup. Definitely really good at recruiting. And I kind of want to ask you. You guys are marketing wizards. What kind of platforms are you noticing to create content on? Are you guys like trying to take YouTube more seriously? Are you guys like diving into Instagram? Are there any new platforms we got to be paying attention to? Maybe decentralized social media or something like that. But outside of Twitter and Discord, is there any other platforms that you guys are starting to take more seriously?
Yeah, totally. We're definitely taking LinkedIn really seriously, even though it sounds kind of boomer. Actually, just made a LinkedIn myself a couple weeks ago, but getting content out on there is really important. There's a huge Web3 hub and a huge, especially gaming when Web3 hub on there. A lot of the games that are coming in from Activision, Blizzard, Epic Games, I mean, any of these games that have devs that are leaving to create Web3 games, or even the companies are AAA and they're moving into Web3 to be a AAA Web3 game. They use LinkedIn a lot because it's just a pretty corporate world over there anyways, but that's definitely a medium we're pushing. Instagram Reels, also another pretty big medium that is kind of taking off just in general, but also really great. And TikTok, of course. YouTube is a bit harder because you have to kind of plan out a whole video, get it edited, but it's definitely a medium we're looking into. We used to do some podcasts and stuff, but the ROI on those wasn't great enough for us to continue. So hopefully we'll bring those back eventually, but in the time being, definitely focusing on LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yeah, LinkedIn definitely bridges the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 pretty well. Not a lot of content being posted on there, especially interesting or engaging content. So that's something that we are looking at as well. For the people listening, LinkedIn is definitely an opportunity for your social platforms there. Liz, I do kind of want to ask you a little bit more about the ETH marketplace. How long has the ETH marketplace been in the works? Are there any mistakes other platforms made that you guys wanted to be sure to avoid as well? Yeah, that's the big question there.
Yeah, funnily enough, my first day at Magic Eden was April 30th last year. I got pulled into a meeting, and the team was like, "Hey, we're going to ETH." And at the time, I was the only person on the team with an ETH background. Everyone else was Solana, or just like normie Web 2. And since then, we've been crafting it first with our aggregator, our launchpad. The aggregator didn't do as well as we'd hoped, and we kind of just paused it and full focus on Polygon, and then we could full focus on this ETH marketplace, which will have a lot of really great features day one, including collection offers, sweeping, bids, stuff like that. So definitely super excited for it. But yeah, going back to the origin story, this has been in the works for about a year. The actual marketplace development has probably been in the works for a few months, but the idea, the baseline of the ETH Launchpad, the aggregator, has already been in the works, and we're already building new tech for P1 and P2 of this marketplace. So there's a lot to come. There's a lot on the roadmap. There's a lot in this OKR cycle that we're working on. As a baseline, this marketplace will actually have more features than our Polygon marketplace, which is um, pretty top of the notch, pretty top notch and state of the art already. But yeah, just working on more features and working on doing what the community wants. I know we're working on rarity and collection offers and stuff like that for our Polygon marketplace, because that's stuff that the community has expressed to us is super important, and that's what we want to do with ETH.
Yeah, 100%. That makes sense. And you guys definitely have a good vision on what needs to be executed there. I kind of want to ask you, as an ETH Degen, what would you kind of say are the main differences between ETH and Solana maxis? Like, what kind of approach did you guys kind of like realize when you built a wonderful brand in the Solana ecosystem and now you were transitioning to ETH? Like, what's your kind of thought process on how those communities differentiate?
Yeah, at least for ETH, I think it's definitely more degen. People are pretty quick to sell if something goes wrong. But there are pretty strong communities, such as like Azuki or Moonbirds, that just like won't sell. Same with apes. A lot of apes just won't sell no matter what. They've held from 0 to 100 back down to like whatever it's at now. But on Sol, people are pretty community driven. There's a lot of people that will bag hold to 0. Obviously, that's the same on ETH. It's the same on every chain. There's always people that do that. But Solana seems very tight knit. Coming in from ETH and not having much knowledge of Solana, it felt very homey, very close. And I think the community fights like their brothers and sisters, which can be a good thing and also a bad thing, of course. But just the camaraderie and the closeness of the community on Sol is pretty different from ETH, just because it is a smaller community. The market cap's smaller. There's less projects. There's less influencers. But they're definitely making their mark. I think they're rivaling Polygon. They're rivaling ETH now, and there's a lot to come for the Sol community. But just between the Sol and ETH community, ETH is definitely more degen. They'll buy into any random thing. On Sol, launch pads were the main thing. So on ETH, you just mint yourself on your own website until now, and our launchpad and other platforms creating launch pads. So I feel like a culture shift coming with more reputable teams coming in and less degen culture.
Yeah, super cool. Liz, I'm super curious. I wonder what your first NFT ever was and how you first got into NFTs. I always kind of like wonder, how people enter the space. And you've been around for a while now. You're kind of leading the charge, like at Magic Eden and everything. Like, how did you get into NFTs and like your first one ever?
Yeah, so I got into NFTs in 2021. I was in an esports org. I was still streaming. My org owner got into NFTs. He was buying a bunch of Bored Ape derivs, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. Let me just take a look." So, got into it through that. Couldn't even tell you what the first NFT I bought. It was probably some random one. I used to look at the stats page on a different platform and see like the recent sales. And it was all bot sales. Most were Polygon, and I was like, "What is Polygon?" And I was like, "These are selling for like $2. Like, I can buy one. I can afford it." So I would just buy those, and they'd all go to 0. Like, no one would buy them. It was just like random airdrops. So first NFTs were probably pretty awful. Some of my most memorable that I still hold, and I will hold probably forever, are my Sappy Seal, my Psychedelics Anonymous. I have a pretty big bag of those, and my Kaiju King. So those are a few of my favorites personally. NFA, DYOR, I gotta say that. But yeah, what about you guys? What are your favorite NFTs that you hold?
Thibault, go first, bro.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not as I don't have, my portfolio is not as good as you guys, but I started kind of with doodles actually. I think that one was one that was super attractive to me, and then later on, kind of being surrounded by degens just kind of just takes you that direction. And Alan knows a bunch, and there's just like so much going on all the time. It's like kind of hard to keep up, but I'm less of an NFT degen as you guys, but definitely still in the space. Alan, I know you have a bunch, and I saw your portfolio yesterday, and I was like, damn, like Alan's got some crazy NFTs.
Bro, yeah, it's we got the Sappy Seals, bro. I mean, I love those guys. I was fortunate enough to get into the Yuga ecosystem somewhat early, so been riding that wave, and it's been kind of nice to see how they have set the bar for the space and have maybe probably motivated others to try and deliver better, high quality products. But Yeah, man, those are the main two for me. Sappy Seals and Yuga. Everything else is who the fuck knows. But we do have Magic Eden on Ethereum here. Magic Eden on Ethereum. What's your favorite NFTs, my friend?
There really are so many NFTs to choose from, but there's only one collection that is a true winner. And that has to be Mutant Ape Yacht Club. Not only does it look the best, is it the most beautiful NFT collection, it also has the most utility because it looks so good that surpasses any utility that could be provided. So gotta go with the Mutant Ape Yacht Club.
I guess I have to ask you too, Magic Eden on Ethereum. Are mutants apes? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that mutants are more apes than bored apes.
That's a hot take, but hey, we like it. We like it. There's room for all different kinds of perspectives here up on this stage. We love that Magic Eden on Ethereum. Appreciate that. I kind of want to ask you guys also, because you guys throw some banger events. That Magic Eden Yacht Party is still being talked about. You guys alluded to something going on at NFT NYC, so maybe you want to chat about that. And I also kind of want to ask you, what is the key to hosting a great event from the people who host bangers all the time?
Dude, the key to hosting bangers is the people that join, right? Like you can have an open bar, you can have a cool venue, but if the people there aren't fun, they're not. If there's just no people there, I mean, if it's just people that don't want to party, don't want to hang out, don't want to talk, don't want to chat, don't want to network, that's obviously an issue. So the way we do our events is, yeah, we'll do an open bar, we'll do some like party favors, merch, snacks, cool venue, but we really want to invite the community. So our yacht party had around 20 launchpad or projects we were close with have little VIP areas. They can invite some of their community. For NFT NYC, we have 4 projects that are splitting up some invites and having a little area in there and venue as well. So we're actually doing one from each chain. So one Polygon, one Bitcoin, one ETH, and one Solana. So just super into cross-chain pollination and, of course, just rewarding the projects that stuck with us, especially the ones that are trusting us on ETH as they're still pretty small.
Love that. Love that. Definitely, the people that attend is very important. There are tons and tons of events going on in crypto and Web3. How do you guys kind of prioritize which ones to actually put effort in? And also, can you share some maybe alpha about some events this year besides NFT NYC that you guys are planning on having a presence at?
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely look at the ROI on events. We don't just want to throw a big event just to throw it. We want to have our biz dev team and our marketing team especially there to make connections and network and see if anyone there can utilize our platforms, our launchpad, anything that we offer. That's kind of goal one. Obviously, to have a big splash and have our name known. And last year at NFT NYC, I think everyone was like, "Oh my God, Magic Eden Yacht Party! Like, are you going? Are you going?" Everyone is asking me for invites, all of that, but yeah, I think just like prioritizing events that will have a high ROI, a lot of really great people there, a lot of builders, a lot of people looking to create, traders, stuff like that. And this year we're definitely focusing more so on gaming events. So I think we have a gaming event almost every month, if not every month. So more to come on that, especially if anyone in the audience or you guys want to come to those. Happy to get some invites out.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to ask you about gaming as well, because I know you guys have a Magic Eating Games page. I mean, you guys are crushing on all fronts here. Like, how has that been going? And, is that kind of the pathway that you guys see to actually get, quote unquote, mass adoption into the space is through gaming?
I think that's definitely one angle. Coming from gaming myself, I think there really is such a huge opportunity there. It's one of the most practical use cases for NFTs is in-game rewards. And I think projects that build a fun game, such as Shrapnel, Wildcard, Azura, there's so many that are building really great games that we've play tested that are just fun to play. And they're free to play. They're easy to play. You don't have to download any crazy things. It's just a normal user flow. And that's what's most important, is not making it an obstacle for normies and traditional gamers, traditional esports players, traditional streamers to play these games and use these games. One of the best use cases I've seen is NFTs that you can integrate into the game. So you buy an NFT and then you can put it in the game, or you can just buy it with fiat as normal and the traditional user flow. Another way is having in-game upgrades, be it in fiat or crypto. So if you go to say you're on Temple Run and you want to upgrade your character to go faster, you go to the item shop and you spend 5 Matic, or you spend $5, something like that, where it's not inhibiting the user flow, but it gives the option of NFT integrations.
100%. Yeah, I mean, NFT integrations is certainly interesting, and that is an exciting aspect of the games that are coming forward. I kind of want to ask you. We do see companies like Blizzard and Epic Games spending crazy money on developing games, and sometimes, unfortunately, they end up never being played. So I kind of want to ask you, what kind of aspects make like a great game that you could see having a sticky effect outside of just the NFT integration? Like, what is Web3 going to offer traditional gamers that's actually going to make them want to spend their time in this realm and not in the Web2 world, would you say?
Yeah, I think a major thing for traditional gamers is events, like DreamHack. There's a ton of League events, ton of Valorant events all over the world. TwitchCon especially. So I think if there's a TwitchCon of Web3 and getting these Web2 gamers into the doors, I know Mongrel is like the big talk right now because he won Dookie Dash. So getting these guys to play the games and to have fun, and then eventually doing huge events. I know there were a lot of traditional gamers that I'm friends with that went to GDC. There were a lot of people from TSM and big esports orgs that went there. And GDC, if you guys don't know, is Game Dev Con, which is a lot of traditional gaming and traditional games, but a lot of esports that are Web3 centered. Along with esports, I think esports orgs venturing into Web3 games is going to be a major milestone. I know a lot of big projects that are coming out already have these plans in the works. I think esports orgs that only play Web3 games is also something that we'll see in the next few months or year. So super excited to see kind of where that goes and how that takes off.
Esports orgs that only play Web3 games. Wow, that is something that I am very interested in seeing, because I do know that there's a lot of tenacity or friction between the two spaces. But people like Mongrel, people like Orangey, who play Dookie Dash and stream it and onboard their audience into the space, definitely does us service. I think also it's pretty clear, people want a solid reward for their time, right? Like that's why these influencers and streamers are putting their time into Web3 games. So that seems to be a little catalyst here. Magic Eden on Ethereum. Is there any Web3 games that you have been playing recently that you would like to share about or that we should know?
Yes, actually, there are. As someone that grew up playing video games and wanted to be a video game playtester, and now getting the ability to playtest games through Magic Eden, I'm honestly really hyped for Shrapnel. It looks really good, and I just want to like play the game. It was fun. Definitely want to. It's just a fun game, and I feel like if you're launching a Web3 game, you really have to focus on making it fun first, because if you don't, nobody's going to play your game, and a lot of games actually kind of don't really pay attention to that step a lot, which is surprising to see. But we're seeing a lot more games focusing on the fun, and the play tests are getting very, very exciting.
Hell yeah, and you're a gamer, like you said. Like, what makes the game fun to you? Is it like being able to talk with your friends online? Like, I remember back in the day. This might date myself a little bit, but Modern Warfare 2, right? Like when you were gonna go play on with your friends, that was like one of the most exciting aspects of that game, and the social aspect really kind of catapulted that thing into the stratosphere. Could you maybe like share, like, because I'm sure there's game devs in the audience, what makes a fun game to you, sir? Like, what kind of aspects would you be able to share?
Right. So if it's a multiplayer game, there's got to be some sort of communication between teammates. If it is a team-based game, you really have to work on the game mechanics and balancing, and just make it overall fun to play, where it's kind of a level playing field unless you have the skill for it. If you make it biased, or there's like one gun that's extremely overpowered, or if it's just not balanced, the game isn't going to be fun. If it's a single player game, it has to be immersive. If it can't immerse you, you're just going to get distracted, and then it's just not going to be an enjoyable experience.
Well said, sir. Well said, 100%. I kind of want to continue to ask you guys some questions. I'm trying to be conscious of your time and schedule here. I can't even imagine what it's like today. You guys do see tons of collections, on your platform. What is the most common mistake you see new ones making during the launch process? Let's try and share some alpha to help some new collections down the road avoid some of these mistakes. Maybe Magic Eden or Magic Eden on Ethereum. Either one of you can take a shot at that.
Yeah, I'll take a shot first, and then I'll pass it over to our Ethan turn thread war. But one of the major things, and I think Wayne on our Solana BD team, he actually put out a thread about it the other day. But one of the main mistakes is not having your social set up properly, and just not set up for exponential growth. We had a project come in that we signed, and they had their announcement channel in their Discord hidden. And they're like, we're not getting any reactions on our announcements. Like, what's going on? And I was like, okay, well, there isn't a channel. They're like, oh, yeah, there is. We're making announcements, and it was hidden. So, yeah, just social etiquette, of course. Having someone very Web3 native on the team is super essential. We work with a lot of IP brand projects, Web2 projects coming in, these huge companies, especially gaming projects, and they typically have people that know about NFTs and just some people on their team that have like dabbled in crypto, but they're not Web3 savvy, Web3 native. A great example of this is Wildcard. So it's a really big upcoming game that we're launching on Polygon pretty soon, and their team is amazing. Huge congrats to everyone that's been there. They've been working on the game for 6 years, and they've had a $50 million raise. Sorry to show them, but their team isn't super Web3 savvy. They have a couple people like Finn who are Web3 savvy, but Paul, their CEO and co-founder, he's been shit posting and trying to be a Degen on Twitter, and it's working, and people love it. And that's just really super key. And having a team that's super adaptable and open to feedback and open to what we're doing is super important. And teams that trust us usually benefit from, especially our marketing expertise. We have a team of 4 that work with Launchpad projects now. A month ago, it was just one. It was just me. So having this huge team, and especially teams that already have experience. Johnny, for example, owns Billionaire Zombies, and they have 1 million Matic traded. He's worked with tons of projects. Threader, who's on the ETH account, he can attest to his background, but he's worked with tons and tons of projects, from probably nothing to Rarible. He's worked with the big guys. He has a gaming background as well. And we have Peyton, who's new on our team. He's worked with Azure Games. He's worked with Wolves DAO. He's worked with a ton of projects. So just having a team that's pretty stacked and a wide arsenal of people, different backgrounds, and different expertise is really key. So even with our team, like I said, having that different background, and for projects having a different background and having them mesh well together is really important.
Love that. Magic on Ethereum, if you have anything to add, we'd love to hear it. And if not, we can move on to the next question. It's up to you.
A lot was covered, but honestly, the biggest issue that I see with projects, it has got to be not knowing how to run socials. We've had some projects come in from like these huge teams that have, tons of Web2 experience, but Web3 marketing is very, very, it's very, very Twitter based. So if you don't know how to like grow a community on Twitter, what type of tweets you need to be making, how to engage with your community, and you're just kind of tweeting things that aren't formatted well, have, links to external sites, are poorly optimized for the algorithm, and then also don't really give out any information or generate any sort of interest, hype, or mystery, you're not going to grow the account. Now, what's nice is, we are able to work with projects on this and help them, with their entire social strategy, their tweets, copy, things like that, and teach them how to essentially market themselves and give them all the tools for that. But there is, there is a bit of a learning curve to it. Now, in terms of projects that don't really, sign on to us, it's got to be either having not really much of the idea of the project flushed out. They've got the initial concept, but don't have any details flushed out, don't have mint price supply, don't have, don't even know what they're going to do a month post mint, let alone, a year. And just kind of are very, very in the infancy stages, or just don't really have a good concept overall, or doing something that's been done before, like multiple times and has failed, don't have a solid team, and just kind of the general red flags for projects.
100%, man. I mean, you kind of touched on a little bit of alpha here that maybe we should go deeper. Web3 marketing. That's a foreign concept, almost alien concept to a lot of people coming in. Is there any projects that you can point to that you think have crushed Web3 marketing? And then have you kind of maybe, again, dive a little deeper into maybe what that is and how people can become better in that field? Like, what can you kind of expand on that?
Yeah, so one of our projects that really did this well recently was Oogie, and that's because they essentially understood what the space needed, which was something new because we've been seeing a lot of the same art styles, a lot of the same concepts, a lot of the same utility in the space for a long time. And they came with a new art style, art concept, and even just having that, new factor to it helped them a long way in marketing. And then on top of that, they knew exactly how to generate hype, how to, formulate their tweets, how to engage with their community, and just kind of how to run their Twitter account. So that combined with, that new art angle really took them very, very far. And really, if a project wants to be successful in this space, they have to innovate and bring new concepts to the table just because it is hyper competitive.
100%. Magic Eden, Solana Magic Eden, is there anything you'd like to add to that, or are we moving on to the next question?
Yeah, I echo the sentiment. Totally agree. Can move on.
Love that. And I kind of want to ask you, you mentioned like projects that are, doing well and whatnot. What do you guys think about Nakamigos, right? Like it's a very polarizing situation here because you have some projects that have been in the space for many years and have put in a lot of time to grow audiences. And then you have projects that we didn't hear about until last week that have pumped to, crazy numbers. So what are we kind of thinking about that? Like where does, what is the stance? Like, are you guys like, hey, it's just part of the game, or it's like, maybe we need to kind of shy away from these kind of collections?
Yeah, no, I think like long term they probably won't last. I know we've seen a lot of like giant pumps on ETH, especially. Kind of going back to the Degen culture comment I made earlier, but I think what's going on is really cool, and it shows a lot about how the how the ETH ecosystem operates as a whole. It is a great case study. The part about influencers being airdropped their Nakamigo honoraries, like I guess kind of without their consent and using their likeness, their attributes, their IP. They should 100% be able to sell that if they so choose. I know a lot of influencers are getting flack for this, but they were just given this NFT and they weren't told to hold it. They weren't promoting it. They weren't doing anything. So I think Betty from Deadfellows was pretty outspoken about this, and I personally agree with what she's been saying, and that they kind of used her IP, didn't really ask if they could. She gets this NFT, and then she's going to sell it. That makes sense to me. So would love to hear what everyone else on this panel thinks about the Nakamigos influencer honoraries.
Magic Eden on Ethereum, right to you, my friend.
Yeah, so I feel like every couple months there's a project that really blows up on Ethereum. Like a while ago there was Goblin Town. Now Nakamigos isn't as hyped or as big as Goblin Town, but it can be with the amount of hype that is currently existing if the team directs it in the right way. Now the thing is, if the team doesn't know how to convert that hype and they don't know how to really pivot from there, it's essentially got to come crashing down. So I don't think that it's going to be anything good long term. I don't know too much about Nakamigos. I haven't done a deep dive, but it kind of just blew up out of nowhere, and I don't think it's going to, turn into a long-term blue chip or anything like that.
100%. I mean, for those that remember, Goblin Town went absolutely crazy. I think it went to like 4 ETH or something absolutely insane like that. So the people that got in early, we went from, again, not hearing about this thing. The art was like, what the hell is that? And then people were like, well, actually at 4 ETH, I kind of like the art. That's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles in this space. Magic, on Ethereum, I kind of want to ask you about like sustaining hype, right? Like goblins, they are still around, but the hype has definitely died down. Is it even possible to deliver when hype is that high? And if so, like how do you kind of strategize to sustain it over the long term? Either Magic Eden or Magic Eden on Ethereum, feel free.
Yeah, I'll hop in first and throw it over to the ETH guy. But yeah, I think it's pretty hard. We've seen that with Trip and Ape Tribe and a lot of Solana projects. I mean, once you come out of the gate and you have such a huge pump, it's really hard to live up to expectations. We're kind of seeing that with a lot of ETH blue chips right now, like Moonbirds and even Yuga Labs assets. Doodles, all of those, they had a ton of hype. They were doing some cool stuff, and they're still doing cool stuff, but just with the bear market and their floor prices going down, people are upset and they're getting a lot of flack, a lot of FUD. So there's a lot of things going on that go into a project's floor price, and it's definitely not the main indicator of a project's success, but to traders, it kind of is. So I think long-term sustained success and hype is very, very hard. People like the shiny thing. They like something new. They like when it's cheap and they can get in and then they can flip it and then they're out of it. So Yeah, I think long-term sustained hype is really hard. I think projects like Goblin Town and like Trip and Ape Tribe that come out of the gate soaring with such a huge and high and massive floor price. Trip and Ape came out at like 80 or 90 Sol back when Sol was like 40-50 bucks. Obviously Goblin Town went to 8 to 10 ETH, and it was just like skyrocketing. So keeping that, sustaining that is extremely hard, and I don't think anyone's done that successfully so far. So yeah, hats off to these teams, but it's definitely an uphill battle. It's great to have some hype in the beginning, but I think there is a fine line between too much hype and just enough.
Magic, on Ethereum, would love to hear your take as well.
Yeah, so honestly, it's extremely difficult to convert that amount of hype at that, level, because the issue is that while your supporters are rapidly going to increase, additionally, everything you do is going to be overly criticized. There's going to be people that want to, fund and take you down, whether they missed out, sold too early, lost money. There's going to be people pointing out issues with everything you do. And that's kind of the case for everything, not just NFT projects, but just kind of having attention in general. Um, Now, that is kind of devastating for a lot of projects because if it's a small project, very tight knit community, if the team makes a mistake, it's going to probably blow over and they're going to continue trusting the team. And then eventually the team's going to make something out of the project. When a project blows up out of nowhere, if the team doesn't have experience managing something that high level and making sure that everything is 100% perfect, every release is perfect, that nothing goes wrong, then it's going to open up a lot of FUD. People are going to, lose support, and then the project can start to slip a little bit. So managing that is extremely, extremely difficult. And, the best case scenario for Goblin Town would be kind of cementing themselves maybe as partially a blue chip, but they have currently lost a lot of the hype that they did. And that's kind of the best that we've seen from a project that kind of blew up out of nowhere and then tried to sustain the hype. Um, so I don't even think it's been done yet successfully to completion, just because it is that difficult.
Yeah, no, I think it's actually super interesting, right? Because when we think about like traditional business models, you kind of launch a product and then you get, a customer base or a user base or a community, whatever you want to call it. And NFTs, they kind of flip that, or I mean, they definitely flip that because like now we're seeing you essentially create a community first, and then you're supposed to deliver. It's like the whole business model is flipped, and I think that makes for like a super interesting kind of setup, right? Because you can really launch super interesting projects. There's a lot to be done there, but I think it's definitely time to kind of like rethink a little bit of like how do we actually provide value, and like how do we like make sure that like these like what are our metrics as a community, like our floor prices really kind of like what we should be like is that the end goal, or are we here to like build projects and products and really just like identify like real needs and stuff. So it's like a larger conversation, almost like existential, I think, to like redefine like our North Star. We have like super interesting technology at our hands, but it obviously can be used for great things and sometimes for not so great things.
Oh yeah, man, those rugs, man, they love that new technology that Web3 and crypto is offering. Let me tell you, and yet euphoria can certainly be wild, right? Like when these projects are pumping and you're up 1,000x, and it's like, oh my god, this is going to the moon. It can be a little tough to have a level head, and unfortunately, the space is pretty reactive versus proactive when it comes to this, right? Like they'll like absolutely buy if they think the floor is going up, and then the second the floor dips a little bit, it's like, oh my god, this project is dead. But that's just kind of the way that the situation works right now. It's up to us to kind of shift that narrative. I kind of want to also continue to ask. I want to be conscious of your time. I know you have a platform launching today. Exciting things. Royalties, right? They've been an ongoing topic in Web3. Can you kind of break down Magic Eden's approach, and why do you think this is the right direction versus other ones that parties in this space have taken?
Yeah, totally. Royalties have always been a hot topic over here. I think we kind of made waves, maybe not in a good way at first, going to zero on Sol 4 or 5 months ago. It was kind of a necessary evil in our eyes. If we hadn't gone to zero, other marketplaces that had zero would have taken the entire market share, and that not only hurts us, but it does hurt the whole community. And now those marketplaces on Sol that were at zero and went up to 60-70% market share are kind of non-existent. And then we added our fees back when it was the right time, slowly incrementing in increments. We have rewards rolling out that have already rolled out, and a better buffed up system coming out soon to reward our OGs, our Solana community, of course, because they are the ones that got us to where we are now. But yeah, it wasn't something we wanted to do. It was something we felt like we were kind of backed into a corner, and it was the best course forward. And now we still have majority market share in Solana, and we have fees, and creators are starting to be rewarded for their hard work. And it's something that it's still kind of an ongoing discussion because the fees for us are back in increments, but creators are still kind of on the fence with sometimes being enforced, sometimes not. But we've created multiple royalty solutions such as OCP. We've integrated Metaplex, MIP1 to protect royalties. And any project that launched with OCP was 100% enforced on chain. No one could change this. Other marketplaces could integrate this, but they had to respect the royalties. So we've come out with quite a few different solutions, even MetaShield, which is kind of an epic failure on our end, but essentially it would blur or give the creator of the NFT access to change the metadata if the NFT purchaser or seller was not respecting royalties. But on Polygon, we fully respect royalties. On Bitcoin, we actually don't have royalties because no other Bitcoin marketplace does. It's not really a utility project or anything you need to build for the long term. So it's kind of a different use case. On ETH, we will respect royalties on native listings. So what that means for creators is anyone that launches with us previously, so I think 33 partners, and then anyone in the next few months that is signed will have a kickback. So our 2% marketplace fees will go directly to them for 6 months. No needed access on their end, no contract, nothing like that. It'll just our royalty wallet for our marketplace fee will just swap to the project's royalty wallet for their whatever percent they've already put on. So just try to give back and help in such a weird time with other platforms going to zero and doing different stuff. We will eventually aggregate other marketplaces. So this is in the works now, and that will include zero royalty marketplaces, just aggregating listings so people can buy those. We won't take fees on those either, so we kind of lose out as well as the creator. But this is just to kind of make sure there's liquidity here and make sure people are getting in a habit of checking out Magic Eden. Eventually adding some new rewards, and our main thing here and our main thesis is the primary to secondary market. So having these incredible 17 or 18 launch partners, having a secondary marketplace at their fingertips instead of having to open a different browser and going to a different website, connecting your wallet and finding listings, search the project. It's all one fell swoop. The collection page has an Explore Collection CTA link right on the Mint page. So if you guys haven't used Magic Eden, it says Mint now, and then right next to it says Explore Collection, where you can just trade directly on Magic Eden. And the missing piece in our ETH marketplace was that we just didn't have one. So all of these launches would go great, and then they'd go to different platforms to trade it. So they were losing out on royalties because all these platforms were at zero. We were losing out on our marketplace fee, of course, because they were trading with us. So just making that a lot easier and smoother and less friction for users that want to trade is kind of our priority there. But as a whole, we definitely do believe in creator royalties. We believe creators need these to survive in some situations, in a lot of situations, and getting rid of them impacts a lot of people, not just the collections, but actually the traders, because the traders benefit from the projects that are building and the projects that are here. So it's definitely a double-edged sword of, hey, we want to protect you guys, but we also want to lead the charge and do it in a way that's efficient and sustainable. An airdrop is super easy, and there's a ton of legal complications, but we aren't going that route right now. We are going the reward route, the sustainability route, the route that lets users make their own choices. So instead of just storing the money like other platforms have, that's not very sustainable. We're taking a different course, and there's a lot to come out of our reward system. Users are going to be rewarded for just logging in, doing quests, trading, just doing typical stuff they do anyways. So we want to reward that user behavior. We want to reward users that are loyal, that have been loyal for 6 months, for a year. And our main thing is to reward people with what they want. So there's a lot of stuff coming, and there's going to be Here's some alpha. Probably shouldn't drop it, but we'll drop it anyways for the Degenomics space. Is that there will be a mini marketplace within our big marketplace that is just a diamond marketplace where, sorry, I've said marketplace 5 times, where users can buy what they want, whether that's NFTs, whitelists, perks, rewards, lower fees eventually. There's a lot in the works. There's a lot coming, and we're super excited to unveil it for our Solana ecosystem first, and then eventually make it cross-chain.
Sheesh. Leaking some alpha. Oh, thank you, Magic Eden. We appreciate that. Filling in the listeners with some juicy details there. Magic Eden on Ethereum, do you have anything you'd like to add, my friend?
Nah, the main Magic Eden account pretty much did cover everything and dropped some insane alpha. I didn't know we were allowed to talk about that. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, alpha, let's go.
Oh, that's just vibes, man. We don't know what we're allowed to talk about. We just kind of, let it fly, and the boss is either like, great job, or what the fuck at the end of this. So this is just kind of the way that Web3 works. I got a couple more questions for you, then we'll let you guys go on your merry way. This one's a little spicy, but we'll see what you have to say here. So fuck, marry, kill, right? Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana. Just putting that out there. Magic Eden or Magic Eden on Ethereum. You guys can take that away.
Dude, you forgot Polygon. All right, so let's God, these are personal opinions, guys. Just putting that out there. Would have to fuck Ethereum. Marry Solana and kill Bitcoin. Just gotta stay loyal to the chain I was integrated with. I just gotta stay loyal. All right.
Liz, kill Bitcoin? No comment. Magic Eden, go ahead. Or Magic Eden on Ethereum, go ahead.
Yeah, I would also fuck Magic Eden, kill Bitcoin.
Wait.
No, hold up. Fuck Solid, kill Bitcoin, marry Solana.
Wow, that's we got some variety answers. I'll just give you mine real quick. I would probably I'd probably marry Solana. I feel like there's some potential there for us in our relationship. I would probably I'd probably fuck Bitcoin because Bitcoin's kind of sexy. What I'm saying, kind of turns me on. And then Ethereum. Look, man, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to kill you. Maybe it's a long-term rug. You just never know. All jokes aside, I guess we're gonna round this space off here. I know you guys have lots of things to do. I'm gonna pass the mic to Thibault to just close it out here.
No, there's some hot takes in there, man. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you guys at Magic Eden. Honestly, super excited to launch together. I'm just gonna give like a quick recap of what's going on, both on the Magic Eden side and on like the Hashverse side, / Hashflow. So essentially, this free mint is going to be the first items that are going to affect, the impact gameplay in the Hashverse. I know Magic on Ethereum, you were talking about like multiplayers and how do you make a really good multiplayer game. We've been thinking through like those mechanics, like the game theory, making sure that it's like a level playing field. How does a weapon impact gameplay? How does an armor come into play there? It's a tough one, right? Like obviously we really want to make the actual interaction and like the different battles and stuff, make it really smooth, and allow any team to be able to really compete. So get your hands on these items, because essentially that's going to play a huge role in the battle royales in these competitions in the Hashverse. So yeah, it's coming up in a few hours, and the ETH, the ETH marketplace as well, and it's a big day. Let's do it.
Yeah, and Magic Eden has been an absolute pleasure to work with. Also, not everybody in this space I could say that about. It's been awesome working with you guys. I'm excited for your platform launch on Ethereum. And we're honored, obviously, to be the first Ethereum collection to be launching on your Ethereum platform. That's so badass. Hashverse is coming soon. The mint is today for the battle pack. Don't forget about that. Magic Eden on Ethereum. Is there any final words, my friends, before we move on with our lives and day conquering Web3 and crypto?
Yeah, super excited for you guys to be the first mint and for the marketplace and the other 17, 18 partners. But yeah, we've already done a mint with you guys. It went great. I think it was 5K free. So excited to do it again, and do it bigger and better this time.
Magic on Ethereum, you get the last word, my friend.
5 minutes until lunch.
Let's go.
5 minutes. Well, you guys are busy then, Aaron. I guess we got to let you go and get ready for this. But look, appreciate your time. We appreciate everybody listening. Basic Degenomics is brought to you by Hashflow, where every Thursday you can listen to lovely people in this space, share a whole bunch of alpha and more. So, look, you guys keep crushing out there. We appreciate you. Magic Eden rocks, and we shall catch you next time. Much love, everyone. Peace out.